the heart of the Mediterranean, there exists a special world where bears and eagles live free among the vestiges of a distant past. It is a veritable treasure trove of biodiversity that, from the Alps to the islands facing Africa, is home to riches of inestimable value. Thousands of species of plants and animals, including the continent's fiercest predators. This is Italy. Here, among the art and the history, a wild heart beats. Now the wolves are resting. The snow is merely an extra blanket on their soft fur. They wait for it to stop snowing, and for life, that which has survived, to resume its normal rhythms. This is one of 5 packs of wolves that live in the Monte Pollino range in southern Italy, between Calabria and Lucania. The land of the wolves, from the Greek Lycos. It has offered refuge and protection to entire families of wolves in its impenetrable forests and inaccessible canyons. Thanks to the wilderness of the Lucania, Italy, despite all its great cities and many small villages, even on the mountaintops, is still home to the largest population of wolves in Western Europe. The wolves are hungry. They prepare for their nocturnal hunt. It could be the turn of a red deer, one of the deer that live wild in the park after being reintroduced after long centuries of absence to gradually recreate the food chain. Deer are in trouble. They proceed with some difficulty, sinking up to their bellies in a line, one after the other. They are trying to reach the woods, where the snow may not be as deep and there are some twigs to eat. But not all of them make it. One is left behind, cut off from the group in the bed of a stream, its legs submerged in the icy water. A wall of snow prevents it from joining its companions, who look at it as if waiting for it, but then move on. Something is wrong, and it is left alone, but its problem is not loneliness or the cold. There are wolves around. They have been here for days, knowing that deer caught in the stream make easy prey. They move with great agility and speed, their wide paws preventing them from sinking into the snow. To bring down a deer, wolves must work as a team. A solitary animal would never be able to get the better of such a large creature. But there are a lot of wolves. They are well organized, and they make the rules in these mountains. it has stopped snowing. The griffon vultures have spotted the carcass from above, thanks to their excellent eyesight. During a snowstorm, the deer population in the national park can decrease by 10%. By day, wolves prefer to stay far away at the top of the hill. They will come down to eat at night. Little remains of the deer. Other animals take advantage of the carcass the wolves have left. The crows can fly away at the first sign of danger, but others have to eat with one eye looking over their shoulder. A fox caught stealing the leftovers of a pack's kill would have no chance. The wolves might decide to spare it, but often would not. It would be one less mouth to feed in these mountains. In the evening, the Pollino pack defines the invisible borders of its hunting territory, marked with odorous excrement. Their melancholy concerto of howling has more or less the same meaning as the nightingale's song. This is our territory, and woe to those who dare enter. Pollino, between Lucania and Basilicata, is the largest national park in Italy. This mountain, which reaches an altitude of 2,200 meters above sea level, is home to some very special plants and animals, some remaining from the time of the glaciers, some related to those of the Balkan Peninsula. On the plateau that stretches beneath the main summit are small pools of clear water inhabited by a particular amphibian fauna, like the native Apennine fire-bellied toad. The vivid colouring of this small toad indicates that its skin is covered with a toxic mucus that could kill any predator that imprudently tried to sink its teeth into it. The woodpeckers have almost finished creating their nest. A few finishing touches, and everything will be fine. They chose a robust, straight trunk and opened a gap in its fibres with their strong beaks. The black woodpecker is one of the most typical inhabitants of the Pollino National Park. It is a northern European species, and its presence in these Mediterranean mountains is a reminder of the Ice Age. No one knows exactly how many wolves live in this part of the Apennines, but this is certainly one of the areas conservation biologists regard as a source of wolves. A place that has always produced and continues to produce wolves. In the past, wolves were hunted in these mountains and throughout Italy, whenever and by whatever means, because wolves ate whatever man offered them, rubbish or livestock. Red deer had not been reintroduced. There were very few roe deer, and wild boars were practically unknown. So the wolves ate sheep. If it hadn't been for the sheep, the wolves would not have survived until the present day. This led to conflict with shepherds and their dogs, in a continuous game of cat and mouse between these two great predators. Men and wolves, bitter enemies since time immemorial, were engaged in a fight with no holds barred. On one side were snares, traps and rifles. On the other, an instinctive caution and an almost incredible ability to evade the enemy and hide. The job of bounty hunter of wolves paid quite well here in the Apennine Mountains. In order to claim your money, you had to hand over the tail or 2 ears of every specimen killed. Thousands of wolves met their end this way. Little by little, men reduced the areas in which the packs could roam. By the 1970s, there were less than 100 wolves in the whole of the Italian peninsula. Italy was about to lose its wolves, just like Great Britain, Germany, France, Austria and Switzerland many decades earlier. Lucania still had a couple of families, thanks to the inaccessibility of its rocky gorges, crossed by gushing streams and clothed in Mediterranean maquis that in higher altitudes gives way to beech woods. There are few houses, few roads. During the years of persecution, wolves lived here in hiding, moving undercover behind enemy lines. Nevertheless, their days were numbered. The persecution was fierce, and to guns and traps was added poison, which struck down the animals without them even being aware of it. A small amount placed in a carcass was enough to slaughter the wild creatures. Fortunately, this carcass has not been poisoned and will still fill many more hungry stomachs. A fox has come across the carcass, but can't really take full advantage of its find. Behind the trees, something is watching. Motionless, hidden along the trees and rocks, it assesses the situation. It decides that the situation is safe. It's a wolf. It's thanks to such prudence that this animal is still living free here in the 21st century, in a highly populated, industrialized country in the heart of Europe, like Italy. The fox remains close to the carcass. As long as the wolf is alone, it can easily escape. It is crafty and rapid. Now the situation becomes more complicated. Another wolf has arrived. And then another. Now there are 3 of them. The little pack is complete. The fox better make itself scarce. Perhaps it wasn't the wolves that killed the horse, which could have died from an accident or from some illness, but they will no doubt be blamed, and there is no appeal or defence. But they don't really care. This large carcass will feed them for days and keep them far away from people whom they have no wish to encounter. These animals are in perfect condition and have formidable jaws. Strong teeth pierce the horse's hide and strip the meat off. One of the three is an alpha male, another an alpha female, and the third, the one with the tail between its legs, is a beta wolf, the lowest in the hierarchy of this small pack, but even he can eat his fill. Satiated, the wolves begin to leave. The damp grass is perfect for cleaning themselves and for leaving their scent and staking their claim to this great territory. They'll be back tomorrow and the day after, until there is nothing left of the horse but bones, picked clean. The dogs find the remains of the horse eaten by the wolves. There are 3 of them, and they feel pretty safe. A single dog would never steal food from a pack of wolves, but there is safety in numbers, and 3 large dogs are a challenge for a pack of wolves that are probably secretly watching their hated cousins approaching their food. At the end of the last century, the tide turned, and for the wild predators of the Apennines, the situation began to change for a number of reasons. First of all, the depopulation of mountainous areas, which have become increasingly deserted and silent. No more buzzing chainsaws, talking shepherds, or barking dogs. People moved to the cities in search of work and a more comfortable life. Depopulation, which gave some peace to the last remaining wolves, was followed by an absolute ban on hunting, obtained by the WWF through campaigns to raise awareness among the public and authorities. They explained that the wolf is not a bad animal, but a key element in maintaining ecological balance. Then, after a while, the wolves' natural prey returned. Large wild herbivores repopulated the new national parks, and the ecological network and food chain was restored. The wolves regained their role as wild predators of natural prey, and the Pollino pack increased in size. Griffon vultures depend on wolves because they cannot kill as much as a mouse and must take advantage of the carcasses of animals slaughtered by the 4-legged killers. They make their nests on rocky walls. The young, despite being almost fully grown and able to fly alongside their parents, don't hesitate to demand food, beating their wings and squawking like huge chicks. They were also at risk of disappearing from these mountains because of poaching and of shortage of food due to the decline in wolf numbers. A flock of cranes in the valley of the river Sangron, about 300 kilometres north of Pollino in the Abruzzo National Park in the heart of the Apennine mountain range. They have paused during their migration to northern Europe and will just have time to rest their wings, but they cannot help taking the first steps of their mating dance. The river has flooded the meadows that have become a place of rest for many migrants. It's a very cold morning at the end of winter, and the wolves are warming themselves in the sun near the remains of their prey. The wolves of the Abruzzo National Park are less fearful than those of the Pollino. A truce has been in force in these mountains for almost a century, and the shepherds have accepted to coexist with these predators. The wolves occasionally attack their flocks, but less and less frequently because they now have plenty of wild prey. Here we seem to have been observing sights from the Siberian or Alaskan wilderness, but we are only an hour's drive from Rome. Each wolf pack usually consists of 6 or 7 specimens, a couple of parents and several generations of offspring. But the Sangro River pack is more numerous, 15 individuals. It is a veritable war machine, a shock force capable of taking down the largest deer and the strongest boar. They are so satiated that they allow a stray dog to pinch a bone. These white-haired dogs, Abruzzo Mastiffs, are the only ones who, when in a group, do not run away from the wolves, at least not immediately. And when they can, with the help of their human masters, they steal the wolves' prey. Dogs are a thorn in the side of wolves, but in a sense they have also helped them to survive, because dogs have guarded men's flocks, and hence the wolves' food. It moves quickly along the road. It feels safer beside people and cars. No one is surprised if a shepherd's dog runs along the road with a deer leg in its mouth. But if it were a wolf, there would be a crowd of photographers ready to snap it. In the Abruzzo National Park, the wolf population has now reached saturation point, and there is little room for new packs. The surplus wolves must migrate, otherwise they would be persecuted by the existing packs. Julieta may have been a surplus wolf, or perhaps just an unusual specimen, full of initiative and a desire to see the world. For her, the solemn and austere mountains of Abruzzo were too confining, so one day she travelled north, along a path she had never followed before. She wandered through the mountains and crossed plains, walking hundreds of kilometres, driven by an almost mysterious force. The Furlo Pass in Le Marche, the forests of the Garfagnana in Tuscany, then Liguria. Every track, every trail was important to her. But she had to tread carefully to dodge snares and traps. Cautiously avoiding high-speed trains and cars on the roads, crossing raging rivers on bridges made by humans, keeping well away from houses and lights. Wolves walk a lot. In one night, they can cover as much as 80 kilometers between mountains and valleys, crossing roads and rivers. Julieta's journey was followed thanks to the radio signal from the satellite transmitter she had been fitted with. She moved from one reserve to the other, staying for short or long periods in the quieter areas rich in prey. She met other packs of wolves, from which she was systematically expelled. It seemed that there was no place in the Apennines for her. She had to go even further north, to the ancient Alpine regions from which wolves had been eliminated over a century ago. So Julieta finally reached the entrance to the wolves' paradise, the maritime Alps, the furthest western range of the largest wilderness in Europe. Unspoilt mountains, streams and small lakes with clear waters, shady, quiet woods, and above all, lots and lots of wild animals, but no wolves. Here, bounty hunters killed wolves methodically and ferociously, wiping out the species. With no predators, herbivorous animals have become very numerous, sometimes so numerous that they damage the vegetation. It is the courtship season for the black grouse. Each year in the spring, they gather in this secret corner of the mountain, sing and display their beautiful plumage to attract females. Wolves do not hunt grouse. Too much work for too little flesh. They also avoid wasting time on marmots, which are always ready to take refuge in a deep underground den. Wolves have much more rewarding prey to choose from. Red deer, roe deer, chamois, and ibex. There are also many unattended grazing animals. In these mountains there are no guard dogs. For many centuries before the wolf returned, the flocks and herds didn't need protecting. Now the situation has changed. Excrement on the path has attracted a swarm of blue butterflies in search of liquids and mineral salts. For researchers, wolf excrement is a valuable source of information about not only what it has eaten, but also the animal's genetic identikit based on DNA reconstruction. They have discovered that only some of the wolves that populate the Alps are from the Apennines, like Julieta. There are also many that originated in Eastern Europe. Julieta, driven by an irresistible urge, continued to eat up the miles. Very cautiously, she moved only within the Italian borders, where the wolf is particularly well protected. further and further eastward. So she arrived at the gates of Verona in the Lesini Mountains, a new area for her, where people spoke a different dialect from the one with which she was familiar in Abruzzo. Julieta would soon have left Lessinia to continue her journey, but there was an immigrant. A magnificent wolf of Slavic origin that had entered Italy clandestinely a few weeks earlier. This was her Romeo. It was love at first sight, crowned by the birth of their cubs. Julieta and her companion's den is in a remote corner of the mountains, where the sun comes early in the morning to warm them on colder days. There are no bears or lynx in its immediate vicinity. It is a quiet area, suitable for the cubs' first steps. The cubs are as naughty as puppies, impatient to go running through the fields and woods, and the adults go crazy trying to keep up with them. They are also very hungry, and their parents and older siblings systematically explore their territory in search of prey and carcasses. Even the body of a horse, a little past its sell-by date, helps feed them. But if they are patient, they might be able to get a deer. It is the mating season, and the deer are very distracted. Males ignore their long-term enemies and dedicate their time to getting in shape to compete with other males. A mud bath is the best way to remove parasites from their fur and make a bit of a show to warm up in anticipation of the duels that take place, especially at sunset, and are preceded by a concerto of loud bellowing. This deer is very tired and is now limping. It may not survive the night. Attentive eyes are watching it. More cubs arrived during the following years, leading to the formation of a real pack that decided to settle in this outpost of the Alps overlooking the Venetian plain. The first nucleus of a wolf population that is now in contact with that of the Balkans, and through it, with all the wolves in Eastern Europe and even Asia, without interruption. The wolf has returned to its realm, but has to deal with other tenants. Bears are growing in number. They are mainly vegetarian, but there is bad blood between them and wolves. Bears are stronger than wolves, but mothers are always apprehensive about their cubs. It is different, however, when it comes to the other great carnivore of the European forests. There is no love lost between wolves and the lynx. The mother lynx has chosen a sunny spot that receives the first and last rays of the sun. She and her kittens need to stay warm and dry. In this, they are like all cats. The kittens want to play and explore the woods that are their home. These hunters never stray far from the trees, where they can climb to escape their enemies, and this keeps them safe from wolves. After Julieta, many other wolves reached this area. Now, there are around 200 in the Italian Alps. Wolves now mainly hunt deer and wild boar, and their impact on domestic livestock diminishes year by year. But it still happens, despite the fact that farmers have been supplied with electrified enclosures to protect livestock at night, and have specifically selected Abruzzo sheepdogs skilled at protecting flocks. The hostility towards these animals, now considered too numerous, is very strong in the Alps. The Italian government has launched a species management plan, which stipulates that 5% of the entire Italian wolf population can be killed every year. In other words, at least 100 wolves could be legally killed. The wolf, unaware of the battle being fought in the corridors of ministries and universities, goes on his way. Today, top of the menu is wild boar, and this has brought it into very close contact with people. Not all wolves have reached the Alps or remained in the heart of the Apennines. Many have embarked on risky journeys to areas inhabited by people. Here, the environment does not always offer adequate shelter. The Murgia Plateau, the Tuscan Maremma, and the Tolfa Mountains are more or less recently colonized areas where wolves have a difficult life. In these areas, men go hunting for wild boar, so in the autumn and winter, even the most remote forests and gorges are invaded by beaters, accompanied by packs of dogs. But wolves are wolves. They survive even in hunting reserves. Here the wolves have met other animals. This time they are not prey, but are close relatives. Feral dogs. They are dogs of all breeds, often crossed to give birth to a variety of crossbreeds with very different appearances. Feral dogs live like wolves in packs, but they don't stray far from inhabited areas, and they do a lot of damage to livestock, for which wild wolves are unjustly blamed. Dogs try to avoid wolves. They have everything to lose in a clash. If a dog lives in an area inhabited by a pack of wolves, its days, if not its hours, are numbered. Only a bitch in heat can survive in an area populated by wolves. Wolves do not have much sympathy for dogs, but they cannot resist the charms of a female willing to accept their advances. If a female is in heat, it could trigger the interest of a male wolf that could spare her and mate with her. In spite of its very different appearance, the DNA of this Abruzzo Mastiff is almost identical to that of a wolf, and a mixed couple would have living, fertile puppies, which only an expert eye could distinguish from a real wolf. This is how the hybrid wolf was born. A new super predator. A photo trap has caught a hybrid at night, eating a roe deer. Hybrid wolves have a dark coat, a long tail that often curls upward, and pointed ears. Hybrids live in marginal areas, where there are fewer wolves and more stray and feral dogs, so mixed marriages are more likely. These animals are not very afraid of people. They are familiar with their habits and the pens they have built for sheep and cows. But wolves, real ones, always have an ace up their sleeve, and this time it pushes them into the heart of their hated enemy's world. In the hills, very near the motorway and some houses, night is falling. Wolves call to each other. There are more than one. It is a rendezvous, a communication between members of the same pack that keeps contact this way. These are real wolves. DNA analysis from samples of excrement leaves no doubt about that. It is a new population and very unusual, because this is not just any area. We are at the gates of Rome. The wolf has returned to the city of Romulus and Remus. 15 kilometres as the crow flies from the historic heart of the city and St. Peter's, a small population of wolves lives in a natural reserve for livestock farming in the wild, rich in woods and small ditches that carry water even in summer. It is squeezed between roads full of heavy traffic, but the wolves are fine here. No one threatens them, and there are many wild boar. It's like living close to a supermarket that is always open and well stocked. Who knows if in the future they will come into the city? For the moment, they stay there, near where their ancient ancestor nursed the man cubs who founded the capital of the ancient world.